Title: The Nun They Couldn't Save, a true exorcism horror story. Help this channel grow. Like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories. This helps us a lot. Thank you. The story begins. The last Saturday of March. Title of the series: The Nun They Couldn't Save, a true exorcism story. Documentary tone, realistic, atmospheric, Western audience optimized. The last Saturday of March had settled over the old St. Mary's convent like a heavy, unseen mist, cold, quiet, and strangely expectant. St. Mary's stood in the outskirts of a small American town, a place locals rarely visited unless duty forced them. The convent was over a century old, built from gray stone that looked darker whenever it rained and colder whenever winter refused to leave. Along its hallways lived young women who had chosen a different life. A life away from the noise of the world, swearing vows of humility, silence, and devotion. They trained here for years, learning the rituals, prayers, and discipline required to become nuns under the Sacred Heart Society. Many entered hopeful, many left transformed, and some, very few, left with stories they never dared to repeat. That evening, during the routine prayer service, Mother Superior Agnes stepped forward with her usual grace. She was stern but respected, known for her unwavering dedication to the church. With her hands clasped in perfect composure, she introduced a new arrival to the group. "This is Maria," Agnes said softly, her voice echoing through the candlelit chapel. "A chosen child of God. She will be staying with us." All eyes shifted to the young woman standing beside her. Maria was 22. Beautiful, but not in a way that felt earthly. Her face looked drained of color, her dark hair tied back without care, and her eyes held something the other nuns noticed immediately: the depth. A weight, a silence too heavy for someone her age. She didn't smile. She didn't greet anyone. She simply nodded and walked toward her room as the prayer ended, her footsteps echoing faintly down the corridor. Two trainees, Monica and Ruma, watched her leave. "She seems tough," Ruma whispered. "Don't start," Monica warned. "Mother Agnes won't like it." But Ruma couldn't look away from the retreating figure. Something about Maria felt wrong. Not shy, not nervous, wrong. During prayer the next morning, Ruma again found her eyes drifting toward the back of the chapel where Maria had chosen to stand alone. Her head was bowed, but not in devotion. Her lips were moving, but the words didn't match the prayer being recited. It was as if she was speaking to someone else entirely, or something. Ruma stepped closer, slowly, silently. The words coming from Maria didn't sound like they belonged to her. The voice was low, distorted, layered, like two people speaking through a single mouth. The hairs on Ruma's arms stood up instantly. When the prayer concluded, Maria didn't look up. She walked straight out. By evening, fear had already tucked itself into the corners of Ruma's mind. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Ruma couldn't shake the impulse to know what Maria was hiding. She slipped quietly out of her room, tiptoed down the hallway, and stopped outside Maria's window. The curtains were thin. A faint glow from the bedside lamp allowed Ruma to see inside. And what she saw nearly made her scream. Maria wasn't sitting normally. Her body looked twisted, contorted, as if someone had forcefully arranged her limbs in ways they weren't meant to bend. Her head leaned unnaturally to one side, her arms knotted around the chair legs, and her spine curved in a way that made her look more like a broken puppet than a human being. Then, in one slow, unnatural motion, Maria's head turned, too far, too smoothly, toward the window. Ruma's breath caught in her throat. Maria's eyes were hollow, surrounded by dark, sunken shadows. Her hair was tangled across her face, and her expression carried an emptiness that felt ancient and hungry. Ruma stumbled backward, her heart pounding violently. She managed a single scream before collapsing onto the cold floor. Mother Agnes rushed to her with several trainees close behind. When they finally reached Maria's window and looked inside, Agnes froze in horror. Maria remained twisted in the same impossible position, rocking slightly, whispering in a voice that no longer sounded human. The echo of it rattled the window glass. That night marked the first moment the convent realized something was terribly wrong. Something far beyond stress, trauma, or simple illness. Something unnatural. And deep inside St. Mary's Convent, behind stone walls and locked doors, something had awakened. Something the church had hoped never to confront again. The things she whispered. The morning after Ruma's scream, St. Mary's felt different, quieter, colder, almost as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Nobody said it out loud, but every girl sensed the same thing. Something had entered the convent the night before, and it had come with Maria. Mother Superior Agnes ordered everyone to gather in the prayer hall at dawn. Her voice trembled slightly, something unheard of for a woman as disciplined as her. "Stay calm," she told the group. "Ruma had a fright, that's all." But Ruma hadn't simply had a fright. She lay in the infirmary shaking uncontrollably, whispering the same thing over and over. Her voice wasn't hers. Monica tried reassuring her, but Ruma kept turning her face toward the windows as if expecting a shadow to appear. Meanwhile, Mother Agnes walked briskly toward Maria's room with a small Bible and a cross. A faint whispering could be heard through the wooden door. Not crying, not praying, whispering. "Maria," Agnes called gently. "I'm coming in." She unlocked the door, pushed it open, and froze. Maria was sitting upright in bed now, no longer contorted like the night before. Her posture was normal, her hands folded neatly on her lap. The only thing out of place was her expression, blank, almost too calm. "Good morning, Mother," she said. Her voice was soft, innocent, completely normal. Too normal. Agnes stepped inside slowly. "Are you feeling better today?" "I'm fine." Maria smiled faintly. Ruma shouldn't spy on people at night. It upsets the room. Agnes blinked. "The room." Maria tilted her head, that strange, slow tilt that made Agnes' stomach twist. She disturbed him. Him. Agnes' grip tightened on the cross at her side. Maria's smile widened in a way that didn't reach her eyes. "You'll understand soon." A cold breath of air moved through the room, though no window was open. Agnes stepped back instinctively, her composure cracking. That morning, she made a decision. Maria needed to be watched. Throughout the day, the convent moved uneasily around Maria. She walked the halls silently, never speaking unless spoken to. Several girls whispered that her eyes seemed darker than the night before, almost bruised. Others swore they heard soft humming when she passed by, an old nursery tune, but distorted, wrong somehow. During afternoon prayer, the real disturbance came. The chapel was silent except for the low chanting. Sunlight filtered through stained glass windows, painting soft colors across the pews. Maria stood in the back row again, head bowed. At first, it looked like she was whispering a prayer. But the closer Monica stepped toward her, the more she realized the words didn't resemble any prayer she had ever heard. The voice that came from Maria was layered again, like two people speaking at once. One adult, one child, both angry. Monica's breath hitched. "Maria, are you okay?" Maria didn't look up, but the voices stopped instantly, as if someone had pressed pause. Then, slowly, Maria raised her face. Her eyes were wet with tears, but not tears of sadness. Tears of rage. "Stop listening," she whispered with chilling clarity. "He doesn't like when you listen." Monica staggered back, heart slamming in her chest. That night, Mother Agnes decided she needed answers. She locked Maria's room from the outside, posted 2 senior nuns at the door, and prayed herself into exhaustion. But sometime after midnight, the whispers returned. Soft at first, then louder, then unmistakably not human. One of the guards, Julia, pressed her ear to the door. "Do you hear that?" she whispered. Before the other could answer, a deep, guttural voice erupted from inside Maria's room. "Open it." Both women jumped back. The door rattled violently, as if someone on the other side was throwing their entire body against it. What cracked? Metal groaned. The candle flames in the hallway flickered wildly. And then, silence. The kind of silence that made bones feel cold. Mother Agnes rushed from her room when she heard the commotion. She reached the hallway as Julia pressed her hands over her mouth, trembling. She's not alone," Julia stammered. "Mother, Someone else is in there with her. Agnes approached the door and called out, "Maria? Speak to me, child." A few seconds passed before a voice finally responded. But it wasn't Maria's. It was a child's whisper, soft, breathy, and impossibly close to the other side of the door. "Mother Agnes, Maria is sleeping." A cold shiver crawled up her spine. She didn't open the door. She couldn't. At that moment, she understood something terrifying. Whatever was happening inside that room was no longer something St. Mary's could handle alone. And the thing whispering behind that locked door wasn't done with them yet. The truth she finally spoke. By the third night, nobody at St. Mary's Sacred Heart Convent slept. The hallways that once felt peaceful now felt hollow, heavy with something unseen. The nuns walked in groups, whispering prayers under their breath. Even the air seemed colder, as though the building itself recoiled from whatever had attached itself to Maria. Mother Agnes made a decision she had been dreading. She called Father Edmund, an experienced priest known for handling cases that didn't fit inside logic. He arrived just before sunset, a weary man with tired eyes and hands that trembled slightly when he removed his coat. "What exactly am I dealing with?" he asked Agnes quietly. She didn't know how to answer. Instead, she led him to Maria's door. Two nuns stood guard, both pale, both refusing to look at the door directly, like children afraid of the dark. Father Edmund placed his palm flat against the wood. The door was ice cold. "Too cold. Unlock it," he said. Agnes swallowed. "Father, she hasn't slept in 2 days. She barely eats. We don't know if she's dangerous." Edmund raised a hand gently. "Child, whatever is inside that room is already dangerous. Lock or no lock?" A deep silence fell. Agnes nodded slowly and unlatched the door. It opened on its own. Not violently, not loudly, just a slow, smooth glide, as if the room had been waiting. Maria was sitting on the floor facing the corner, knees pulled to her chest, arms around her legs. Her hair spilled down her back like a curtain. She didn't move when they entered. She didn't even look up. The temperature dropped instantly. Edmund stepped forward, unfazed, though sweat gathered on his brow. "Maria," he said gently, "my name is Father Edmund. I'm here to help you." No response. Not even a breath. The priest crouched near her. "Child, why are you in pain?" Maria's body tightened. Her shoulders shook once, like a flinch. She whispered something barely audible. "He won't let me." Her voice was hers. Human. Terrified. Agnes stepped closer. "Who won't let you, Maria? Tell us." Maria slowly turned her head, not all the way, just enough that half her face became visible. Her eyes were wet with tears, but something else lived behind them. Something watching. Something waiting. She opened her mouth to speak, and a second voice, deeper, layered, not belonging to her, answered instead. "Not her." Agnes stumbled back, hand over her chest. Father Edmund did not move. "Why are you here?" he asked the presence calmly. Maria's head jerked slightly, once, twice, like an invisible hand was forcing it. "She called me," the layered voice hissed. "She begged. Night after night." Agnes' eyes widened. "Called you? How?" Maria's lips twisted into a sorrowful smile. She went to him, the voice breathed. She cried at his grave. She wanted him back. A chill ran through the room. "Whose grave?" Edmund asked. Silence. Then suddenly, Maria spoke in her own voice. "My baby." Agnes gasped. Edmund closed his eyes slowly, understanding beginning to settle like dust. The layered voice returned, sharper, angrier. She wanted him so badly, she opened the door. Maria's fingers dug into her knees hard enough to tremble. Edmund leaned closer. "Maria, listen to me. Whatever answered you, whatever attached itself to you, is feeding on your grief. But you are not alone." Maria's breathing quickened. Tears slid down her face. Her voice came out fractured, torn between two forces. "I didn't mean to," she whispered. "I just wanted to hear him one more time." Agnes felt her throat tighten. "Maria, darling, what happened?" Maria's eyes closed, and in a trembling voice she finally told them, "I used to visit the cemetery every night. I thought, if God wouldn't listen, maybe he would. I heard a whisper once. A tiny voice saying Mama. I followed it. And then, everything went dark. The room shuddered. Lights flickered. A shadow, not shaped like Maria, seemed to pass across the wall behind her. Father Edmund took a step back, his expression grave. This is no child spirit, he said sternly. This is something else, something that used her grief as a door. Agnes whispered, Father, can you free her? Edmund lifted his rosary, taking a steady breath. I'll try, but it won't be gentle. He began praying softly. The first few lines seemed harmless, just whispers of Latin floating through the air. But Maria's body stiffened violently. Her back arched. Her fingers curled backward unnaturally. A cry erupted from her throat, not loud, but heartbreaking. A sob mixed with something ancient and angry. Edmund continued, voice growing louder, firmer. Maria clamped her hands over her ears, screaming, Stop! It hurts him. But the deeper voice roared through her, an echo that shook the walls. Enough! A gust of wind blew through the room, knocking candles to the floor. The air turned suffocating and heavy. And then, Maria collapsed entirely, shaking, crying, whispering apologies to someone nobody else could see. Edmund knelt beside her, exhausted but steady. It's weakening, he whispered. The truth broke its hold. But this is not over. Agnes wiped her tears. What do we do now? The priest looked at Maria, broken, trembling, clutching her chest as though holding onto something slipping away. We prepare, he said solemnly, because that thing is not done with her. Outside, thunder cracked across the night sky. Inside, Maria whispered one sentence that chilled them both. He's coming back tonight. And with those words, the final battle for her soul began.